Many single women today carry an aura of strength that feels unshakable. They walk with confidence, speak with clarity, and give off the impression that nothing can touch their emotional center. But beneath that outer strength often lies a heart that has endured silent battles, disappointments, and lessons that shaped her into who she is. This emotional strength, while real, is also a carefully constructed shield, a defense mechanism built over time. When a woman appears detached, calm, or unaffected by romantic chaos, it's rarely because she doesn't care. It's because she's learned that showing too much emotion can sometimes invite more pain than understanding. She has discovered that in a world where vulnerability is often mistaken for weakness, appearing unbothered becomes a form of self-preservation. You see, many women have had moments when they gave too much of themselves to someone who wasn't ready to value it. They opened up their hearts, shared their dreams, and showed their softer side, only to be met with indifference or betrayal. Over time, these experiences taught them a difficult truth, that not everyone deserves immediate access to their emotions. So they adapt. They become measured with their words and cautious with their feelings. They learn to smile through discomfort, to say, "I'm fine" when they're anything but fine, and to handle heartbreak in silence. To the outside world, she looks composed, strong, and self-reliant, but inside she's simply doing what she must to protect her heart from breaking again. When a woman tells herself she doesn't care, it's often a quiet form of self-defense. It's not that she's emotionless, it's that she's tired of giving her emotions to people who don't honor them. She knows that wearing her heart on her sleeve once cost her peace, and now peace has become her priority. Every wall she builds is not a rejection of love, but a test of sincerity, a way to see who is patient enough to break through gently, who is consistent enough to earn trust without demanding it. Men often misinterpret this guarded nature. They assume she's cold, uninterested, or too independent for a relationship. But in truth, she still desires love, perhaps even more deeply than before. The difference is now she needs to feel safe before she lets her emotions unfold. She's not waiting for someone to rescue her. She's waiting for someone to respect the fortress she built and understand why it exists. So when you meet a woman who seems unshakably strong, know that her strength was not born from comfort. It was forged in emotional storms. Behind her confident smile might be a heart that once cried quietly into the night, promising itself never to fall apart again. What she hides beneath her composure is not detachment, but courage, the courage to keep loving in a world that has given her every reason not to. And if you're lucky enough to earn her trust, you'll realize her strength isn't a wall between you, it's a bridge waiting for the right person to cross. In today's world, women are encouraged to be strong, independent, and self-sufficient. They're told they don't need anyone to complete them, and that's absolutely true. But beneath that confident exterior, many single women quietly carry an unspoken truth. They still long for love. They crave a genuine emotional connection, the kind that feels safe, deep, and honest, yet they rarely admit it out loud. Why? Because society has taught them that wanting love makes them appear desperate or weak, so they hide that desire behind humor, ambition, or busyness, convincing the world, and sometimes even themselves, that they're perfectly fine on their own. It's not that they can't be happy alone. Many of them are thriving. They've built careers, mastered independence, and learned how to enjoy their own company. But still, when the lights go out at night and the noise of the world fades, a quiet thought often slips into their mind. Will I ever find someone who truly sees me? That longing doesn't come from emptiness, but from the simple human desire to be understood and cherished. Love for them isn't a need for validation. It's a yearning for partnership, for someone to share their victories and vulnerabilities with. Yet, admitting this feels risky. Too often, women who openly express their desire for love are labeled as clingy, needy, or too emotional. To avoid those judgments, they wear a mask of indifference. They might say things like, "I'm just having fun," or "I'm not looking for anything serious," when deep down they're hoping for something that feels real. It's easier to act unbothered than to admit how much they care. That mask protects them from disappointment and shields them from those who might take advantage of their sincerity. And so they move through life balancing two truths. They don't need a man to survive, but they want one who understands the depth of their heart. They want a man who doesn't see their independence as a threat, but as a strength. They want someone who matches their energy, who listens, who shows up, and who makes them feel seen without having to beg for attention. Love to them isn't about losing control or giving up independence. It's about finding a safe place to be vulnerable again. The irony is that many men misread this emotional restraint. They assume that because a woman seems fine alone, she must not care about love. But that's far from the truth. Her silence isn't disinterest, it's protection. Her independence isn't rejection, it's survival. Beneath that calm, confident surface is a woman who still believes in connection, who still hopes for the right person to come along, but refuses to settle for anything less than genuine. So, when a woman says she doesn't need love, listen a little closer. It's not that she doesn't want it, it's that she's waiting for someone who makes it worth admitting that she does. One of the most fascinating truths about single women is that they rarely take a man's words at face value. They pay attention to what he does. Many women have learned through experience that charm can be temporary, promises can be empty, and words can be rehearsed. So instead of asking endless questions or seeking reassurance, they quietly observe. They test a man's intentions not through confrontation, but through subtle, silent evaluations. When a woman is getting to know someone, every moment is a small test. Not a manipulative one, but a natural way to understand who she's really dealing with. She watches how he reacts when she sets a boundary, how he speaks about his ex, how he treats strangers, and whether his actions align with his words. These details reveal more about a man's character than any romantic gesture ever could. To a man, it might seem like she's calm or distant, but she's actually collecting information. She's observing consistency, patience, and emotional maturity. When she shares something vulnerable and he brushes it off, she remembers. When she says no and he respects it, she takes note. These moments, small as they seem, decide whether she'll let her guard down or walk away. You see, many women have learned to value emotional safety above excitement. They're not impressed by grand promises or over-the-top attention. They're moved by sincerity, reliability, and the quiet confidence of a man who shows up when it matters. This testing phase isn't about playing games. It's about self-protection. A single woman who has been through emotional pain isn't going to hand her trust to just anyone. She's learned that trust must be earned slowly through consistent action. So she might delay getting close or take her time, responding to affection. Not because she's uninterested, but because she wants to see if your interest fades when things aren't easy. She'll notice how you handle frustration, how you speak when you're angry, or whether you can handle her independence without insecurity. Every reaction you show is like a mirror reflecting your intentions back to her. What many men don't realize is that these silent tests often happen long before a relationship begins. A woman can tell a lot from how a man behaves in the early stages, whether he listens more than he talks, whether he's genuine or just trying to impress. And when she suddenly pulls back or disappears without warning, it's not confusion, it's clarity she's seen enough to make her decision. She doesn't need to argue or explain. Her silence is her closure. So if a woman seems to be observing you more than opening up, don't take it as a bad sign. It means she's interested enough to pay attention. She's watching to see if you are who you say you are. Because for her, love isn't built on what's said in the beginning. It's built on what's proven over time. Confidence is one of the most attractive qualities a woman can have, and many single women carry it with effortless grace. They walk into a room with their head held high, smile as if the world is on their side, and post pictures that radiate self-assurance. But behind that strong image often lies a quiet vulnerability, insecurities that they rarely reveal. You see, confidence is not the absence of doubt. It's the ability to move forward despite it. Many women who seem unshakably confident have simply learned to hide their self-doubt behind poise. They know that showing insecurity can sometimes be misunderstood or even used against them, so they keep it tucked away beneath the surface. From the outside, it might look like she has everything figured out: career, independence, and emotional control. But inside, she may be questioning herself constantly. She might wonder if she's truly attractive, if she's good enough, or if she's lovable after all the heartbreak she's endured when she scrolls through social media and sees other women living what looks like perfect lives. A part of her compares. She might tell herself not to, but comparison creeps in anyway. Even strong women have moments when they look in the mirror and feel like they're not measuring up, not thin enough, not successful enough, not loved enough. Still, she refuses to let those insecurities define her. Instead, she transforms them into fuel for self-improvement. Her confidence is not fake. It's built from resilience. Every time she's been doubted, she's learned to believe in herself a little more. Every time she's been rejected, she's learned to validate herself instead of waiting for someone else to do it. But that doesn't mean the insecurities vanish. They simply become quieter, hidden beneath her laughter and her strength. The truth is, many single women long for someone who can see through that confidence and still appreciate the person behind it. They don't want to be admired only for their independence. They want to be understood for their depth. They want a man who recognizes that even strong women need reassurance sometimes. Someone who reminds them they're enough without them having to ask for it. They don't crave constant validation, but they do crave emotional safety, the kind that allows them to drop the mask for a while and just be themselves. When a woman feels that safety, her walls begin to soften. The version of her that the world sees, strong, composed, untouchable, gives way to her real self. Tender, emotional, and beautifully human. That's the side she shows only to someone she trusts completely. So when you see a woman who radiates confidence, remember that it's often a combination of courage and healing. Her strength isn't just natural, it's earned. And behind every confident smile, there's a story of a woman who fought her insecurities quietly and came out stronger on the other side. For many single women, the greatest fear isn't rejection, it's wasting time on the wrong person. Time is precious, and every experience, every disappointment has taught them how costly it is to invest their heart in someone who doesn't value it. They've learned that love without reciprocity drains energy, confidence, and peace. Rejection, on the other hand, is quick and clear. It might sting for a while, but it brings closure. Wasting time, however, leaves lingering uncertainty, months or years of effort with nothing to show but emotional exhaustion. That's why many women today are far more cautious about where they place their affection. They don't want temporary attention. They want genuine connection that leads somewhere meaningful. This fear of wasting time doesn't come from bitterness, it comes from wisdom. A woman who's been through emotional disappointment knows the cost of ignoring red flags. She remembers how it felt to believe in someone who wasn't ready, or to build a future with someone who was never serious. So now she moves differently. She asks harder questions. She observes consistency over charm. She takes her time before getting attached. If she seems guarded or slow to open up, it's not because she's cold. It's because she's protecting the parts of herself that take the longest to heal. She knows that love without direction leads to confusion, and she values her peace too much to gamble it again. Men sometimes misinterpret this caution as disinterest, but in reality, it's emotional intelligence. A woman who takes her time isn't being difficult, she's being deliberate. She wants to know that the man she's investing in won't vanish when things get real. She wants to be sure his words match his actions, that he respects her time, and that he's emotionally mature enough to handle her depth. To her, love isn't a race, it's a process. She's not afraid of starting slow if it means ending strong deep down. What many women truly want is emotional security, to know they're not wasting their energy nurturing something that will collapse later. They've learned to measure a relationship not by how fast it starts, but by how consistently it grows. That's why a woman might pull away when she senses uncertainty or inconsistency. She's not trying to play games. She's protecting her timeline. She's guarding her heart from repeating a lesson she's already learned. The truth is, most women aren't afraid of being alone. They've made peace with solitude. What they're afraid of is giving their heart to someone who doesn't value it. Wasting time to them is worse than rejection, because rejection ends a story. But wasted time keeps you trapped in one that never leads anywhere. So when a woman hesitates before diving in, it's not fear of love. It's respect for her own heart. She knows what her peace is worth, and she's no longer willing to trade it for uncertainty. Trust is the silent foundation of every deep connection, and for single women, it is often the hardest thing to give. After being disappointed, misled, or betrayed, many women learn that not everyone deserves access to their hearts. So they build emotional walls, not out of bitterness, but out of self-preservation. They want to love again, but they need to feel safe first. To them, trust is not about believing every word a man says. It's about seeing consistency between what he says and what he does. It's about feeling that his energy, his intentions, and his actions align. Only then does she start to relax, open up, and reveal the truest parts of herself. When a woman begins to trust, it's not because she suddenly forgets her past. It's because she sees something different in the present. Trust for her is earned in small moments. When a man listens instead of interrupting, when he remembers small details she mentioned weeks ago, when he shows up even when there's nothing in it for him, these gestures might seem simple, but they carry enormous weight. Every act of reliability reassures her that she can lean in a little closer without fear of falling. A lot of men underestimate how much patience and emotional awareness it takes to earn a woman's trust. They think love is built through big gestures, gifts, compliments, grand declarations, but women often value emotional consistency more than extravagance. They want to feel that the man beside them won't disappear when life gets complicated. A woman doesn't need perfection. She needs honesty. She needs a man who admits when he's wrong, communicates openly, and stays kind even when disagreements happen. These moments are what separate a temporary connection from a lasting one. When trust is truly earned, something beautiful happens. Her guard drops and her authentic self begins to shine. The confident, composed version she shows to the world softens into vulnerability. Her laughter becomes freer, her conversations deeper, and her affection more genuine. She no longer feels the need to overthink every word or action because she finally feels emotionally safe. This transformation doesn't happen quickly. It happens quietly over time. And the man who earns that trust discovers that behind her strength and independence lies an incredible depth of love, loyalty, and tenderness. But that same trust, once broken, is almost impossible to rebuild. A woman who has had her faith betrayed won't easily give second chances. To her, losing trust means losing peace. And peace is something she fought hard to regain. That's why patience, consistency, and honesty matter more than anything else. For a single woman, trust is the bridge between protection and surrender. She's not waiting for someone perfect, she's waiting for someone real. Because when she finally feels safe enough to trust, she doesn't just open her heart, she gives it fully. With love that's loyal, deep, and unconditional.